Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, traders from across the globe, and welcome to the 1409th edition of Short-Term Trading Live with Oscar Carboni. Good evening, traders. I'm back from New York, and a round of applause to you, my omniacs, for being patient. I was away for 5 days, and for the first time in, 10 years, I went away, and I didn't give you guys a video. Sorry about that, but I had to go see Dad. I had to take care of my dad. So you guys have to go second. Dad's got to come first, sorry to say. But hey, we're back, and I'm here to show you some interesting things this weekend, or this week leading into this weekend. Traders, futures trading is extremely risky, can cause substantial financial loss, is not suitable for all traders. Boy, the risk is getting larger. The volatility and the flips are getting bigger. You must know that a stop has to be put in. It is your best friend. We will deal with the exchanges if they stop taking them for now. In futures, they're allowing them. Let's not worry about that for this evening. Let's get into some other good stuff. This video being filmed on a Tuesday night for trading, Wednesday, December 9th, 2015. What is on the board? Well, yes, I do short-term videos with short-term opinions, and every now and then I give you a longer-term view of what I think is going on. Stepping back to the longer-term view, the bird's-eye view, looking at the forest and not just the trees. 8-9 weeks ago, we took "Do Not Fall in Love with the Downside" off this board. This basically stated we are in a full-blown bull market, and major dips will have to be purchased. Now, on this board either says do not fall in love with the downside or do not fall in love with the upside if we happen to be in a bear market. It's been that way for almost 10 years of doing these videos, 8 years at least. That got removed about 8 to 9 weeks ago, and I started to tell you omniacs, I don't know what's going on out there, but I'm getting fluttering from the Omni. It's not looking as beautiful to me as it used to, and in fact, longer-term view, intermediate-term view, I guess we'd call it, and this is what I've been saying to you lately in these videos for the last 9 weeks, is that if we do not run up and make a new high on this next push, then we are going to have a serious problem in these markets. And that's how it started 9 weeks ago. Since then, I've shown you some charts. My longer-term view, intermediate-term view, has gotten less bullish and more towards possible topping out. Now, I have not called a top. That is not what I'm here to say. We are still in a bull market. But Omni has shown me some things which I've shown you in some videos in the last 9 weeks, which I don't know anymore what's going to happen. Now, I'm going to show you a chart segment in just a moment. In that chart segment, you will understand why I've got something on the board. Number one on this board is this. Either trillions of dollars in fund money, money that sits with the fund managers that gets thrown into the market with reckless abandon sometimes when the market's getting bullish, and how quickly it bails out of the markets when the markets are getting bearish. Trillions of dollars of that money is either simply awaiting for the Fed to pull the trigger, and then they're all going to get in and go. There's a lot of threats that have happened by the Fed. We may be raising rates. We might raise rates. Possibly we're going to raise rates. They never did get raised over the years. Now the Fed is saying we're going at it next week. We're raising rates. If that's the case, maybe the confusion in the markets that I am about to show you is nothing more than the fact that the trillions, if not hundreds of billions, if there aren't trillions of dollars on the sidelines, are waiting for the Fed to pull the trigger, comes in, buys the market, Santa Claus rally, away we go, and life is good. It's either that, else it's this. I kid you not, and this is not the first time you've heard it, but something is rotten in the state of Denmark, kids. There's no other way to explain this. The charts will show that to you. So I never hedge and say it might go up or it might go down. This has come off the board. You've seen my bearish intermediate-term videos. What I'm here to say is this. If those funds are not waiting for next week when Janet Yellen and the Fed raises interest rates, if they do, then something is rotten in the state of Denmark. As I've been told by my friend sitting behind me, that the fish is rotten from the head down, Oscar, which is basically the same thing as something's rotten in the state of Denmark. So we are either going to get the blast off from Yelen, or we are going to start to see that the top is possibly in, and you may actually hear me call the top. I'm not saying it's in. Don't misconfuse my words here. Don't misconstrue the video. We're still in a big booming bull market, but Omni has made me get in front of this camera often in the last 9 weeks to tell you things are not looking as rosy as they used to be. Traders, I'm holding an Omni camp where I will teach you the analysis I'm about to show you in this video. If you've got time on your hands, that time would be January 22nd through the 25th. It's a Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday, coming up this Jan 2016. If you would like to be trained how to come up with the Omni Oscar's market navigational indicator personally by me, I'll teach you the Omni method here in Las Vegas. Come on down to livewithoscar.com, fill out the OmniCamp application by clicking the OmniCamp banner, and I will call you back and qualify you for a seat. Traders, with no further ado, let's go look at some charts.
The OmniCamp experience is a very personalized and individualized experience, and he assumes that there are students with varying backgrounds and different levels of experience. So the first part of the OmniCamp experience is him really interviewing you, understanding where you're at from a trading perspective, understanding your strengths and your weaknesses. So when he conveys the Omni process to you, it's a very personalized and individualized approach where he's addressing your specific needs. And by the time the camp is over, you're just not learning the material. He's testing you over and over and over again, and it's a drill type environment where you're not going to leave here until he has a level of confidence that you've demonstrated your ability to assimilate this information and be able to produce successful trades on your own. Few people in their lifetime garner the ability to call the markets and predict its movements with a level of accuracy that Oscar has achieved and accomplished. And to anybody who's thinking about OmniCamp, this is a game changer. This will change your life in terms of your ability to be successful on a go-forward basis. Somebody has packaged a successful method that's been proven and refined over years and years that you're just going to receive and start using and producing accurate trades. And you know, the personal benefit that people receive is priceless.
Okay, traders, the Dow Jones Transportation Average. You have seen this chart many times. This is the daily bar chart. I have deemed this the leader of U.S. indices in my videos, but really Charles Dow deemed it the leader of U.S. indices a long, long time ago. So if the man who they named the market after calls this the leader, I don't argue, I follow. So the leader of U.S. indices supposedly is the Dow Jones Transportation Average, which I do believe. This is my Omni Trading Academy's proprietary moving average. What you'll note is that the leader failed at the average and dumped miserably, failed at the average and dumped miserably, failed at the average and dumped miserably, tried to stay above the average for a while, then finally failed at the average and dumped miserably. So the leader is failing miserably. And in fact, this could have been the savior. This could have been a bull flag right here. Look, this might have been a big bull flag and saved it, but no. It failed at the Omni average again and came down. Not good. That's the daily of the Dow Jones Transportation Average. Take it to the S&P. The S&P daily, we had the nice F flag, which we worked on for quite some time. Now, granted, I was gone for 5 days. That would be these 5 days right here. I didn't see any of that action. I came back to realize we fell out of the F flag. And look, we're creating some sort of an apex right now, a mini apex. Is it an apex, or is it some sort of a bear flag building now? What exactly is that? I'm not sure, but I don't think I like it. Secondly, you've got one top here and another top here, so you could call that a double top. And it did come down. But then, of course, you go bigger and you say, well, that could also be an inverted head and shoulders. Lots of confusion going on here. You see what I'm saying? Confusion. You can read this in many ways, but the leader says read it towards the downside. Next, NASDAQ. NASDAQ looks like a great chart when you don't look at this. Top, top. So if we now step to this side and say nothing happened here, when we see a double top, we sell a double top, we use this chart, we actually took part in this down move a few days in a row, and the double top worked. So now, another one forms. Is this a double top? Is this a triple top? Is this an inverted head and shoulders? What will happen next? I say for now, let's call this another double top, like this one was. Not a triple top. Let's call this another double top, because frankly, what came up here and made this happen, the market cracked. This is part of a new move. This is something different right here. It started down here. So if we look at it like this is actually a double top by itself. When we see a double top, we sell a double top. You've got that going on. Those are the dailies. We're going to step this out now. So the daily transportation average one more time, because then we're going out to the weeklies. Once again, the leader says the confusion on those two charts is not all that confusing, because this is what should happen. That's the leader. If they follow, that should happen. Next, transportation average goes out to a weekly. You have all seen this chart many times. I call this the new chart masterpiece. And remember, it used to be the three little flags. This didn't exist. The fourth has formed. I showed you that. This is a weekly now. Each one of these bars takes a week to take place. Well, look, the flag did form, failed at an average, and started to fall out of the flag, and we are down here. Transportation average on the weekly. Once again, look at the average. It held, it held, it held, it held, it held. Like a charm. Once it got through, but then holds anyway. And then once we get below it, right here, you build your first flag, second flag, third flag, fourth flag. Down we go. That leader is looking terrible in the weekly and the daily. Now we've got the Russell 2000. Traders, do you remember this chart? Any of my video fans know this chart? Because I showed this to you when I debuted that 3 flag turn 4 flag chart I just showed you a moment ago. And I said, look, the other leader that goes with the transportation average is the Russell 2000. And I said, is this a shoulder, head, shoulder? And we put 2 question marks here is really what we did. We put one here and said, will this fill in? Well, since then, this is what it looked like before. Okay, when I showed this to you, this is what it was, and this is what happened so far. Let's put them together because I want you to see this. Put them back together and take a look at that. The right shoulder filled in, and you failed at the OMNI average. My goodness, that's not a good sign. So that's your weekly in your Russell. I'm telling you, this is not looking rosy right now. And then, for you traders that have been following me long enough, OMNI made a call in crude oil when it was at 103, and OMNI called for the crude to get down from the 50s down to the 40s, right? And people thought that was a crazy call. Once we get down to the 50s, I gave 2 targets, one at 37, the next one at 32. Guess what happened? Crude oil hit the 37 target since then. Your next target is 32. Nothing goes straight down. That price is very likely to be seen. Traders, pull your own charts, do your own analysis, take a look at the leader and compare it to what the S&P and NASDAQ are doing. Big tug of war taking place. The leader I will follow until it leads us back up. So traders, you've seen the charts, and now you know why we have a red OMNI to start the session off. Remember, nothing stays red or green all day anymore, but we're starting the session off by selling the rallies in emini, S&P, and the Russell. And gold, I didn't show you any gold charts, but the OMNI's a little bullish on gold here. Maybe gold will get a little bit of a pop. OMNI will buy dips in gold if it sets up for day trading on Wednesday. And we'll start off selling rallies in the emini, S&P, and Russell same day, trading Wednesday. All right, traders, that's about it. LiveWithOscar.com. Come on down. Join me in my free chat room. And remember, keep your emotions out of trading. One of the best things you can do, as far as I'm concerned, to help yourselves with trying to keep those emotions at bay is say this to yourselves every morning, every afternoon, every evening, and you know what that is. Stops are in. right there, gentlemen. Futures trading is risky and can cause substantial financial loss. We do not claim or guarantee that you will profit from the information provided.